Well, I've never had the privilege of physically being in Jerusalem to celebrate Holy Week. But this was just like being there, wasn't it? Having the different voices among us. It brings it to life. I think most of us have had Holy Week here in Canada. This week, unfortunately, for part of Holy Week, I'll be in Dallas-Fort Worth, blending an Episcopalian and a Roman Catholic during observances. And I'm sure there will be discussions about the similarities and differences. Christianity is just that, groupings of people over thousands of years. Those who follow Jesus, who have followed Jesus, and over the years as humans have come up with similarities and differences. But we all are Christians. And for the most part, we have Palm Sunday. And others who are waving the palms as we wave today have woven them into crosses which are cherished in the family. Some of us tuck them into the photo of somebody departed. Some of us give them to somebody we know who's in the hospital or unable to be here. And some are burned next year to be the ashes for Ash Wednesday. That is when our foreheads are marked with a cross as a reminder for our human mortality. And the liturgical color is the same in many denominations, as are processions. Now, in our procession today, there are many sides to it. We are in a long line, as I mentioned, of Christians, when we physically participate in it, or have participated in it. It goes back to the 4th century, when the Roman Empire was declining and Christianity had become official, replacing paganism. And Christians no longer had to meet in their homes, their small homes, in secret, in caves and underground. They could finally be open about what they believed. So we are very blessed to live where we can be open about what we believe. And it was an early tourist pilgrim woman in the 4th century who journaled about her Palm Sunday observation right there in Jerusalem, saying everyone is carrying branches, either palm or olive, and they accompanied the bishop in the very way people did when they went down to see the Lord. So it is good to remember that we are part of a long heritage, that the torch has been passed to us to take Christianity into the future, whatever it might be, whatever our similarities and differences might be they in a diocese or nationally or internationally, and to cheer about it. Sometimes we have to remember as Canadians how to cheer. It's more than just at hockey games, right? We can cheer about being Christians, just as we did today. We did it a little tentatively sometimes, but we can cheer about the words and say them the way we do, cheerfully in prayer and joyful voices. But second, Holy Week is a week for our own ongoing transformation. For those who've been lucky enough to go to Jerusalem or seen it in videos, there were those gates in the wall. They're still there, those gates in the old wall. And there was that road that Jesus knew he was going down ahead of time. He knew about the colt. He asked them to get the colt. And he knew even which gate he was supposed to enter. And he knew what his future was going to be. And as Christian followers, as the disciples were then, they had to trust, as we have to trust, and to follow him. We have to go with him through the gate he has chosen, and continue to walk the path with him, even in our odd secular world sometimes. Now, some of you might watch Doctor Who So in a way, with our dramatic reading this morning, we traveled a bit, didn't we? But what if we all, as a community, could time travel, that is, all 500 who are on our parish list? If we could time travel and be with Jesus at the gate to Jerusalem. And once we pass through the gate with Jesus, with the disciples, the women, and the other followers of that time, there would be no going back. We would enter with our apprehensions, our fears, our sinfulness, our guilt, and even all of our little untruths. We would find some joy in that, what would seem like a big city, Jerusalem, because most of us would be from a farming background, or a small village, or by one of the seashore, the lake shores. But we would discover there were those from other nations, people we didn't know and had never seen, that there would be those ruling Romans and those terrifying looking soldiers and those Pharisees all dressed up in their fancy clothes. And we would have relatives there, relatives who would not be happy with us because we would be seen to be leaving the religion they knew and forming a new sect that they didn't know anything about, but were led by this Jesus fellow who was a son of a carpenter from that place, and nothing good came from there. And then we would see with new eyes the beggars on the streets, and the hungry children, and the injustices, and the violence. Yet Jesus would be telling us about love and peace. So we would walk with him in the city crowd, and we would continue to walk with him to the upper room, and we might be in the room at the table, or we might be in the kitchen preparing the meal. And we would be there watching at the trial with the others, maybe those strangers from other places. We would be watching as he shoulders the cross. We'd be at the crucifixion, horrified. And then we would know about the tomb. So on that path, if we do it this week fully, will we question, will we ponder, will we agonize, and will we cry our tears? Third is the hardest part in this annual Transformation Week, which seems to happen for so many of us in small or little ways, small or larger ways. Today we shout Hosanna, and we heard it in our dramatic reading again. Later we will shout, crucify him. How can we, as human beings, how could they do such a thing? How can a human being have both things inside them, or inside of me? Well, sadly, as humans, we do. We can be angry at God as things may not be going according to our human plan. We may have wanted the other guy to be free. Why was that? That's a question. Or we may be taking our anger out at something, at Jesus as a projection, or directly at God, for something in our own lives, something that was hard that happened to a loved one, something in a relationship, something at work. Or we just may, instead of staying on the path with Jesus, choose another path and another gate in the wall and go another way. Holy Week gives us the space and the time for whatever is needed for our own ongoing spiritual transformation. It never stops. It never stops until that last breath of our life, because God is always with us with all of his love, transforming us, and Jesus is our helper, and so is the Holy Spirit. Today we note that centuries ago, other humans also at that time thought the victory of Jesus would be to have a secular king, their Messiah, who would defeat the Romans, the bad guys of the day. Instead, his victory was to be, as we know, and need to remind ourselves, to liberate us. Sometimes we don't think we need to be liberated. We think it needs to be people in other countries or other parts of the community. But we sometimes need to be liberated as well. Liberated through transformation, the ongoing transformation, so that we can fully live out God's kingdom on earth. So here we all go on our walk in a blessed Holy Week. Amen.
Amen.